Inflation.
Inflation has moved down from its peak, a welcome development. It remains too high. We are prepared to raise rates further.
I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of hearing about inflation almost every single day. But I want us to ask ourselves today is, what is it that causes inflation in the first place? What are the factors that are influencing such a high level of inflation during our time? Listen, we are new to all of this. This had never happened to our generation, millennials, Gen Z, and so on and so forth. We have never experienced inflation since the 70s. So this is all new to us.
I want to have a frank talk with you tonight about our most serious domestic problem. That problem is inflation.
But what is it that caused inflation in the first place?
For most of 2022, inflation lingered above 8%, a 40-year high. There are a few key factors that propped it up and made it tricky to predict what comes next.
What caused inflation was that the Fed had to print money, buy bonds in the billions of dollars during 2020. And the irony of all this is that during 2020, during the pandemic, inflation was at almost 1%. And during that time, we were facing the issue of deflation. And that's another topic for another video. But the irony there is because right now we're fighting against inflation, raising rates so much and trying to bring it down. But during that time, the Fed was buying billions of dollars in bonds and printing money in order to stimulate our economy, which had come to a standstill during 2020. There are two important factors in our economy that I want you to understand in order for us to completely comprehend what's going on with inflation. Number one, that's money. And number two is credit. Number one, as you know, the only institution that can print money is the Fed. The other one is credit, and credit could be created out of thin air. Let me give you an example. Let's say you own a local grocery store in your neighborhood. And I go in and I tell you, hey, listen, I don't have money right now, but I'll pay you for a gallon of milk that I need for my kids. You give me the gallon of milk, all of a sudden, out of thin air, we created credit. There's so much credit that a few years ago, it was said that there are over $50 trillion in credit versus only $3 trillion in cash. Having those two factors of our economy in mind, cash and credit, we understand that as we have a Fed that is able to print money out of thin air, right? And nowadays they don't print the actual money, but now they add zeros to a computer somewhere. And of course, we're talking about the Treasury of the United States. It's backed by the power of the United States. But even then, we need to understand that because those two factors are in our economy, in our system, all this money was put into our system that now all of a sudden prices are starting to raise. And the areas that affect the most when we have inflation are these. Number one is housing. Maybe some of you are now facing higher rents. And when it comes to buying a house, it's almost impossible because the mortgage rate right now is over 7%. That's why nobody's selling houses, because they can buy a house. And then number two is energy. We are now seeing how, unfortunately, gas prices are climbing up again. Number three is food. And every time you go to the grocery store, every time you want to go to the movies, every time you want to go pump gas for your car, you are seeing the effects of inflation. And understanding that the villain or the hero of this story is the Fed. What they're trying to do is, by increasing the rates, they are trying to disincentivize people like you and I and corporations and the government itself to stop buying things.
The Federal Reserve cannot cool off the economy if they don't cool off consumers.
And because there's so much credit in the system and so little cash, if credit is so expensive, if your credit card payments are higher, the rates in the houses are so high, and also the interest rates on a car are so high, that disincentivizes people from buying things, and that sort of cools the economy. But I just want you to pay attention to this. Most economists say, people that are well-respected economists are saying that the Fed was too late in increasing rates. They're saying that they should have increased rates early 2021. And during that time when inflation was climbing, the Fed and many of the government officials were saying that inflation was
transitory,
temporary.
that's a transitory thing.
And as we know, unfortunately, that was a lie. And right now, inflation has become entrenched into our system, and the Fed is trying to fight inflation by increasing rates. What do we do in the face of what's going on? If you're a retail investor, and most likely if you're watching this video is because you are, I don't want you to panic. I want you to understand that a lot of these things have happened before. It's all about perspective. And if you have the perspective and understand that even though our economy is so complicated at times, and we're living things that we have never lived before, these things have happened before. And in those generations, think about generations during World War II, think about the generation during the Great Depression, think about the generation, I was already working during the Great Financial Recession, which was in 2008. People that lived through those situations can tell you that in that moment, it felt like we were never gonna get out of that situation. But as you know, we did. What you can do is that now money is more attractive. Why is cash more attractive? Money is more attractive is because of the interest rates. This is what I would do if I was you. If I had money in my bank, I would put it in a good money market account. The worst thing you can do is this: buy with credit. Why is it such a bad idea to buy with credit? Because of what I said in this video. It's because interest rates are climbing and they might be higher. I do believe that the Fed, nobody knows, but this is my opinion, is that the Fed has to increase rates once again. The worst thing I can do is to go and buy a car that I can't afford with such a high interest rates. I can't afford to do that. Or buy a TV set with credit. That makes no sense at all. Or buy myself a pair of shoes that I want, $200, $500, $300, whatever it is, with credit. Why? It's because that payment on that credit card is gonna be higher. So the reason I wanted to make this video is because once you educate yourself, once you understand what's going on with our economy, once you understand that yes, inflation is trenched into our system and is hurting a lot of people, I believe that if you continue to work hard, I believe that you continue to be wise and educate yourself like you're doing right now, you're gonna be able to get out of this, and your family and yourself are gonna be well. But I know it hurts right now. I know a lot of things are expensive. Trust me, I have a family as well, and when I go to the grocery store, things are expensive. And when you travel, when you buy something, everything is expensive. With the Fed that we have right now, I do believe they're gonna have to increase rates again. I do believe they're gonna have to pause and see what happens with our economy. We don't know what's gonna happen in 2024, but my best advice that I can give you is hold your money, hold it, put it into a high yielding savings account or a money market account. What I do use is I use Fidelity. Fidelity is a well-respected brokerage account. I've had it for many years. You can put your money in there. A lot of interest rates right now for your money is 4%, 5%, which is incredible. And I never lived through that myself personally when it comes to saving money, but that's the best you can do right now. Listen, if this video helped you just a little bit, I need you to please subscribe to this channel. You are seeing the beginnings of this channel. I want to upload more videos. Like and share it. And like everybody is asking you on YouTube, is because it helps the algorithm to push out this video to more people. Thank you for watching, and I see you on the next one.